that your messaging resonated with them. But now that you have their attention, what can you adequately do in a short period of time to establish trust and allow them to see you as the solution? Because it's not enough to just make an introduction. You need the handshake and you need the opportunity to provide solutions. So that requires more strategy. We're going to dive into that today. And the best way to approach that is by highlighting the dilemma that your clients are facing and framing the solutions that you offer. This requires a great deal of strategy. So we're going to really go into more detail about this particular phase of the brand audit. Next slide, please. So again, the recap for those of you that participated and those of you who haven't had a chance to see the video on the website yet, we really established the importance of story. I mean, beyond ads, beyond typical marketing trends, what is the opportunity to establish an organic, human, compelling connection that really advocates for your story and lets them demonstrate how they can really be useful and how those particular solutions can drive them to success. So now that we've talked about the importance of connecting with story, what's next? Next slide. The goals for this session. I want you to be able to highlight all the ways that you can demonstrate to your audience that you understand the challenges that they're facing. This is the only way they're going to see you as the solution. You really have to provide and, in essence, be the bridge to their success. They need to know that not only can they trust you, we talked about that through storytelling, but that they can really allow you to guide them to their desired destination. So you have to be a trusted partner. You have to be able to empower them with information that they can't just find on Google, right? Because if you're just iterating simple solutions and information that they can find on their own, how are you proving that you're going to help them reach the level of success that they're trying to attain? You want to demonstrate also that you're passionate about your solutions. Otherwise, nobody believes you, right? If you don't believe in yourself, your solutions will not come across as compelling. There will be no conviction, there will be no confidence, and there will be no clients. So at the end of the day, prove that they need you to achieve their desired outcomes. This requires strategy also. Next slide. Let's talk about defining the dilemma. I mean, and really get to the heart of this. You need to be able to provide your clients with some sort of assessment so you can hear them and actively listen to what they're going through. If you assume that all of your clients are facing the same challenges, you're not providing the diversity of solutions that people are truly going to need. If you really only have one client, then you need to expand and optimize the audiences that you can serve. There are more opportunities out there than you think. So, what are people facing? What problems are they having individually that not all of your clients may have, right? Are they facing obstacles? Is there anything preventing them that you can immediately identify that they need help with? What are the roadblocks? Are they facing certain risks that they would not know of if you did not inform them? You need to know the good and the bad and the ugly about your industry to be able to guide any client to any destination, let alone the best destination. So, really take the time to talk to your clients. Don't come out right away and sell your services. Get to know who you're going to be serving and make sure that you really can provide those solutions. And the only way to do that is to really assess where your clients are and be clear on what the challenges they're facing are so that you can provide those solutions. Next slide. All right, now communication, as we all know, is a tool, but this is one that can make or break your whole experience, your client's entire experience, and let's be real, your business's experience, right? So you need to articulate after you listen that you've gathered a great understanding of the challenges that they're faced with. It's not enough to just ask them questions and not listen. In order to be able to provide a high level of listening competency, you have to be able to articulate what you heard, right? And sometimes that's an opportunity to empower them with new information as well. What are the obstacles in this entire industry that they're not even aware of? What's preventing them from reaching their goal? What are the common pitfalls in this industry that they could be faced with? What are risks that can remove the opportunity for success? You know, Prove to them that you have faced what they're facing. And that's one of the strongest things you can do beyond just establishing the trust, but to strengthen it, you need to be able to show your audience not only that you hear their challenges and you can articulate their challenges, demonstrate an example of when you were in the same shoes as they were. Have you walked in their shoes? And identify what's missing. So the lack of information can really hinder you from achieving your goal. That's everyone's message to their client. If you don't have all the information you need about the industry you're in or the steps that you need to take, the the likelihood of you achieving that goal is not strong. And that's elementary. We all know that. We know that information is power. If you can't empower your clients with information, you're missing a huge gap in information. And I encourage you to focus more on the solutions you're providing. They need to know that what they don't know can harm their experience and that the information you provide can empower their entire journey. Next slide. And of course, why you? Right? If there's 1,000 people in this industry in your local city that are providing a service, why you? Like, what makes you the solution? And how do you really guide them? What's important about the journey you provide? Have you thought through the experience that you're providing your clients? Why do they even need you as opposed to someone else? And of course, this is an opportunity to brag about your credentials and why you're an asset. What have you done that has led you to a position that you can provide the best experience and the best expertise to them? That's really important. And you need to be clear on why you. Next slide. In other words, defining the dilemma, being able to hear it, articulate it, demonstrate what information is missing, and why you're the solution is essentially making you the bridge. It's making you their bridge. And if you can clearly demonstrate that to your clients, they know that they can achieve success with you. So if they can't see you as the solution, if you can't relate or understand their problems, concerns, fears, or challenges, they will never see you as a worthy guide, coach, consultant, provider for what they need. And if you can't tell them what they do not know, they don't see you as an asset, they see you as a salesman. I mean, how many of us have been confronted with someone just walking into a building, right? And you're being solicited for some information, for some sales. 90% of us walk past them because we aren't interested in sales. We're interested in achieving our goals. And you are not an asset to me until I know that you can help me achieve my goal. So if you can't articulate the solution, you aren't viewed as the solution. I literally will say that again. If you cannot articulate the solution, then you aren't the solution and you don't provide the solutions they need. So let's remove that barrier and be really clear. Because if you can't confidently share your expertise, skills, and talents, you're not going to be able to help them reach any goal. So by doing these things, you really can be the bridge for your clients. And that's a trustworthy, trusting partner experience that we all want in any endeavors or investments that we're making. Next slide. So I'm going to give you some examples because it's just not enough to talk about this. And we need real world examples of how this is done. I'm going to show you some examples of brand audits that I provided my clients that helped them identify themselves as the solution, defined the problem, and demonstrated what's missing. So this is something that you are going to be tasked with doing. And I recommend that you take this part very seriously because this is how you build your strategy. So example number one, I had a realtor client and her ability to prove that she really is an asset is not something that she had created a strategy for. She was confident in her abilities, 25 years in real estate, a lot of success helping people close deals. But if you asked her how she could help someone or what she provides or what dilemmas her clients are facing, she kind of drew a blank. And this is okay. This is the common response for most of us, but this is the opportunity too. So I recommend that where you feel the least active, sometimes that's the greatest opportunity. So let's talk a little bit more about this particular client. Next slide. So her dilemma in her real estate industry was very difficult to identify. So we had to focus on the history of what she'd been serving her clients, how and how. Oh, excuse me, can you go back to the dilemma? Thank you. So here are some of the dilemmas that her clients, as in homeowners or new homeowners, are facing. Let's start with the fact that in her industry, people don't even know they can be homeowners. There is a large amount of people in this world renting that don't even think that home ownership is a reality. That's a dilemma for clients in her industry. People don't have access to the information about the home buying process. That's a dilemma that her clients are facing. People don't even know what they actually can provide their families. That is a very sad dilemma in her industry. Racism exists in real estate and prevents people from equal opportunities. That is a huge dilemma facing clients in her industry. It also exists among realtors. That was news to me. Until I'd done her brand audit, I was unaware of how many challenges realtors even face in her industry. She was able to uncover through this brand audit that there really are a lot of bad deals that benefit the realtor and certainly not the buyer. So that means some realtors aren't even invested in your outcome. They're just closing the deal to get their percentage, and they really don't care if it's the best experience for you. I mean, this is information that empowers new homeowners and clients. And so she needed to become the gap between the informed and the uninformed, because the lack of information is preventing people from having any success in home buying. People don't know or understand the benefits of ownership itself. And at the end of the day, people don't have anything to leave their families when they move on. Do you see how the dilemma being articulated can be so compelling to your client? If I were a new homeowner or interested in buying a new home, and I were a first time homeowner or even a second time homeowner, working with her and having this conversation about the pitfalls in her industry just empowered me in a way where I feel more confident. I feel like I have an advocate. I feel like I have a partner. Where do I sign? Because I need you. And that's a different experience than just going online and typing in top 5 realtors in your city. Very different experience. Okay, next slide. What else does she have to provide? She actually has to provide the information that's missing. She has to be able to demonstrate that in her solutions, she can coach you about your credit. She can coach you about her credit, about your creditors, how to communicate and interact with them, right? She can help you with what kind of money management requirements and strategies you need to make this successful. She can teach you about the difference between pre-approvals, pre-qualifications, and approvals, right? And she can remove barriers of ignorance and fear, because a lot of people face that when buying a home. So we just demonstrated how she articulated the solutions, how she demonstrated that she is the bridge. I'm the gap between the information you don't have and the information you need. So now, not only do you know that I can foresee all your challenges up front and I know what you're going through and I'm your trusted confidant, she can also say, and I'm going to teach you to do A, B, C, D, and E so that we can get you to the desired goal. Now, this is about defining the dilemma and really focusing on the gaps in information that they don't have. All right, next step. Now, why is she the solution? This is how we drive it home, y'all. This is how we finish this. This is how we not only get the handshake, but we get the sign on the dotted line of that contract. A realtor that listens and provides information to get you closer to your goal. That is a solution she provides. She wouldn't put you in a situation that she didn't want to be in. She is crafting people's dreams and vision into the place that they all want to call home. She can prevent unforeseen challenges and help you achieve that goal. She can invest in your investment, and she will invest the time and energy into you on your journey. You have a trusted partner. You have someone that's going to guide you. Now I've demonstrated that I'm the bridge. Next slide. Now she has to prove her expertise, because what's the next question? What are your credentials, or where did you go to school? At this point, if you're talking to anyone that needs credentials in this space, this is when you want to know it. So I identified all your dilemmas. I've removed some of the veil of ignorance and provided you with information that proves that I know the industry and I can guide you. I've talked to you about the solutions I provide. And by the way, I have 25 years of experience as a realtor. I am a mentor to other realtors. I work with new construction so I can get you into new buildings, new properties, which everybody wants. I'm a licensed real estate instructor, which means I teach people how to do this, right? I can give people new operations that are going to make sure they're successful. I can give you information that empowers your entire buying experience. And I have no preconceived notions about what you deserve and what your worth is. Now we're in business. Just, I'm not sure if any of you know how to use, your reactions, but thumbs up if this is making sense. Like I want to make sure that this is very clear to you guys how we kind of walk people through this path. And I think it might be beneficial to, thank you so much. I think it might be beneficial to give you another example. Okay, so let's move on. Next slide. I love the diversity and thumbs up, by the way. That's inclusive. I love all the shades. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, here's another example of a client that I did a brand audit for. Now, her goal was to become an executive leadership coach. And she really did have quite a few years in corporate, quite a few decades in corporate, where she felt like she had a lot of information and wisdom that could benefit leaders all over the world. I ask you if you are not on mute to please mute because we can hear what you're doing. And it'll be very distracting to our participants. Thank you so much. Okay, next slide. Again, she needs to identify the dilemma. So we were able to identify the problems and common pitfalls that leadership face. Lack of training. How's somebody going to lead with no training? Not being aware of that your leadership is modeling the wrong behavior. Your team's not going very far. Change management gone wrong. The idea that people are last and numbers are first. Who's following that methodology, right? Competing demands and priorities, crab in a barrel mentality. People who really have the opportunity to provide great leadership but are unmotivated and do not have the time. No real definition of success, the lack of clarity on goals and priorities. Leaders need to be able to redefine failure into growth and opportunities for innovation. So, what leader is going to tell their team that they're failing? I mean, that's not positive leadership. You want to guide them to innovation and creativity and collaboration. So, you have to have a leadership model that's going to take them there. You could just not be the right fit for the team, also. Plenty of people hire managers and organizations that don't really have the right ability, fit, or expertise to guide that team. This happens like daily. And leading your team to an unknown destination, if you don't know where you're going, you're taking your team nowhere. That's a fact. And if the team doesn't actually believe you or trust in your leadership, you're not going to establish the opportunity to be a great leader. So these are the pitfalls that we identified that were plaguing her industry. Leadership need leadership coaches. Leaders need leaders. And that's what we established in her brand audit. So we can clearly articulate to any client or any executive leadership team that she understands the challenges they're facing, even if they don't. Next slide. Now let's just go straight to the solution. In her brand audit, this is how we framed her as the solution. Before I get into these, I will say she had 36 years of corporate leadership experience. That makes her the solution. She's an expert. She's led teams from cracked organizations to huge, successful agencies. She was able to demonstrate that experience throughout her years of service in corporate. But something else that I was able to identify about her solutions through her brand audit was that she can actually provide leadership a roadmap to success. They can experience and learn how to have successful leadership in their organization with her guidance. She can define and promote sustainable solutions. She can share what she learned through her many decades of working in corporate leadership. She can, of course, connect her story to the problems they're facing because she was in their shoes. I can't tell you enough. If you have the opportunity to show people that you have walked a mile in their shoes, don't disregard how important that connection can be. She can help leaders focus on people first and driving results second. You want to meet your metrics? We can help you reach your goals, but let's talk about people first because you need them to achieve the goal. She provides an opportunity to help them reframe the true definition of leadership for themselves and their organizations, right? She can navigate their leadership path. She can close the gap between strategy and execution, and she can maximize the skills that effectively lead others to influence high performance teams. These are how you demonstrate what you're doing as the solution. Now, I get it. There are going to be a few of you going, Yolanda, how am I going to come up with that for my business? Well, Irma and Christina will let you know that you have the opportunity to get some free coaching hours from me. This is not something that a lot of people can do easily on their own, and I don't want you to be overly critical of yourself or your skills if this is hard to do. It would be like trying to give yourself therapy. At the end of the day, you need a trusted partner to help you outline these. And that's something that I offer and something that I believe this organization is going to help you achieve. So we'll let them speak to more of that at the end of this particular presentation. Next slide. So again, demonstrating your expertise. I mean to truly demonstrate it. Don't expect them to just know. There are a lot of people that think, well, they should just assume that I have that credential. Well, I wouldn't be saying that if it wasn't something I can provide. Does that mean no one else would say it if it was something they can't provide? Don't make your clients or your potential clients or candidates guess. Don't make them assume because they can't. They need to hear you say it. Okay, so highlight your skills, highlight your trainings, highlight the variety of solutions you've offered people, identify the fears and concerns they face. That is walking a mile in their shoes. Let them know why you're passionate about solving any of their challenges. Because regardless of the fact if you can do it, there are a lot of doctors that went to great Ivy League medical schools. That doesn't mean we're a great fit. I need to know that you're passionate about helping me maintain a level of health and wellness that I see fit in my life. And if I don't feel that you're invested in me or care about the goals that I'm trying to achieve, I don't care what your credentials are. I don't feel seen. I don't feel valued. This is how you let people know. I really can solve this for you. And I'm not just saying it, I've got the track record to prove it. So make sure you are clear on your track record because the solutions you have designed, they have to fit a variety of challenges. And if you're not even sure what those challenges are, you need to get on the road to being able to prove that you can solve your clients' problems. Okay, next slide. After you've really defined your expertise, this is an opportunity to carve your own lane. This is my favorite part. Carve your own lane. And that means be able to articulate who you are to them. Are you a GPS? Are you a guide? Are you a coach? Are you a consultant? Are you a leader? Are you an advisor? Are you the voice of reason? Be creative in terms of how you're housing the various solutions you provide. Are you an expert? Are you a friend? What is it that you're providing? And now let's look at the opportunity to frame this in a way where we are providing a moment to define an authentic experience, right? So I refer to myself as the inclusion architect because I strategize, create, and design inclusive solutions in multiple industries. That's how I see myself. How do you see yourself? Because in order to really be able to, like we said, define the dilemma, provide the information that's missing, prove that you are the solution, prove that you are the expert, you have to really believe that you're offering something that someone else cannot. If you are beginning your conversations with, well, there's a lot of bankers out there. A lot of us can do stuff for you. Now you've got my attention on people that I wasn't even inquiring about. Who are you to them and why do they need you? Be sure that we're packaging that in a way where we can confidently demonstrate how we're different than the rest. Next slide. I know some people think this is funny, but this is real. I mean, everybody's trying to get to some version of the promised land, whether they want to be a manager, whether they want to excel in their career, whether they're trying to keep for their restaurant from having issues with the ventilation system. It's not just about corporate. And this isn't just about corporate services. This falls in every category that we're in. Yeah, I did a brand audit from for a gentleman who is responsible for maintaining ventilation systems and AC systems. A lot of restaurant owners don't even know that affects how much smoke is in the dining room. That affects your customer experience. And for every restaurant owner, especially during COVID, they want to keep those doors open. They want to keep their customers coming in. and they don't want any issues with the ventilation in their restaurant. So to them, those three things are a part of the promised land. Define your client's promised land because we all are trying to get somewhere, right? And again, this is about the assessment. You understand the challenges they face, you understand where they want to go. You become the trusted guide on that journey, and you're going to lead them to some destination. Let it be something that's unforgettable. Let it be something that changes the trajectory of their life. Care enough to make it a compelling and profound experience. You know, you can guide them through the pitfalls, the journey, and the crisis that they may be in. And you can accomplish those goals with me. I won't let you down. That's the kind of sentiments that clients need to know. After they've gone through your expertise, the solutions, the dilemma, I mean, at the end of the day, you need to prove to them that you care, you're passionate about where you're taking them, and them reaching that level of success is just as important to you. Anybody ever had a mentor? Okay, awesome. Anybody had a great mentor? Okay, now, has anyone had a not so great mentor that maybe didn't remember their name a couple of those meetings and every time had to ask you where you're going? What are we trying to achieve again? That's not a great mentor. I don't really believe you're taking me anywhere at that point, right? So consider it like that. Consider that mentor relationship. If they don't believe you're invested, they will not invest. Please and thank you. Next slide. All right. Ultimately, here are some of the questions you want to be able to take the time to answer, to craft some of this strategy for yourself. And I'm not saying you can do it all with these questions, but this is a good start. And I don't want you to feel bad if you're like drawing a blank or you feel like this is just too much to take on by myself. Again, take advantage of some of those offers hours that Irma and Christina are going to be offering. But the questions to really answer are, what are the challenges my clients are facing? What information is lacking that if they had could create an entirely new experience for them? What are the solutions that I offer on every level? Don't leave anything out, right? What is your expertise? You know, what have you invested in yourself that makes you a qualified expert in this space? And why are you different from the rest? Which essentially is, why do they need you? Because you're going to take them to the promised land. But really, why do they need you? So those are some questions that I think can help navigate and spark some great responses that you really are providing your clients. It really is important to take the time to ask these questions, and I recognize it's hard to approach some of those, but this is how you start to be able to fill in those gaps. Next slide. Okay, and then there's one last ingredient, okay, that we all face. And this is something that I don't traditionally put in my presentations, but we have to be real. This is a moment to really reflect, right? Because in order to answer these questions, you have to feel really confident in what you can offer. If you don't, the problem is there and you can't move on to the questions yet. When it comes to expertise, when it comes to seeing yourself as a solution, if you don't really believe that you house those solutions or you're experiencing self-doubt, you are hindering the relationship between yourself and your client. When I was younger, my dad used to say it with conviction. And that's really what it's about. No one's going to believe you if you don't say it with conviction. I can tell you that I can solve a lot of your brand storytelling issues and help you connect a very profound, strengthened relationship between you and your audience. And we're going to build that bridge. Give me a thumbs up if you believe me. Oh, I got one thumbs up. I hope there's some more. Okay, thank you. There's some thumbs up out there. Otherwise, I need to work on my conviction. Oh, thank you guys. Now I really appreciate the love. Appreciate that. But at the end of the day, that is the experience. Your clients are either going to thumb down or thumb up. So do you believe that you are really housing and providing any solutions? I know this is hard because, culturally and depending upon how you were raised, bragging is not humility. That's what a lot of people know. That's how I was raised. Who are you bragging to, right? So bragging doesn't feel humble. And it's really like it makes us feel like we have to step outside of ourselves. And what makes that even harder is now we're stutter stepping. We're stuttering in our information that we're providing. We're questioning it ourselves. People can hear the self doubt. I can all the time. I can see and hear your self-doubt in the services you provide. And the truth is, you might be better than anyone at it. But if you don't believe it, and if you can't say it with conviction, and you can't brag about it, your reach is really restricted. And that greater reach to your clients is what I mean. You're not going to reach the distances and the clients that you want to. So here's some advice. If you are religious or you believe in God, acknowledge that God gave you some skills and talents. If you don't believe in God, acknowledge that you have some skills and talents. Acknowledge that there are some gifts that reside in you that can help people. And if you approach your bragging with that perspective, then it doesn't feel like bragging. I know that I've been blessed with certain gifts where I can hear and value people at the same time. So my listening competency is very, very compassionate. I know that I can reach people and I can help them solve problems. I know that I am worthy of doing the work that I'm doing. Now, your experience may not need to approach it from that perspective, but acknowledge that you have some gifts and skills and that it's not a bad thing to celebrate those. Remove the context of bragging and acknowledge the opportunity to celebrate what you offer your clients, because if you're celebrating those gifts, it doesn't feel like bragging and you can maintain your level of humility, because we don't want to be egotistical maniacs. We don't want to turn people off from our bragging, right? But if we change that context and now it's celebrating, now it's acknowledging, right, what was given to us and that we're using it in a good way, that helps change our self-reflection and could potentially remove some of the self-doubt. I recognize that this part is not easy. And sometimes I have to coach clients on this regularly, them really believing that they are what they're seeking to provide people is something that people are very challenged with, depending upon what messages they were given when they were younger, what they've seen, how the media is portraying their industry. So we need those opportunities to reflect in self and really demonstrate that we are celebrating our gifts and that we are here to share them. Whether you believe in God or not, that is a basic understanding that you need to have if you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, that you have gifts and skills and talents that can really help people and you're dedicated to using them. Now we've removed the ego. So please, whether you're bragging or celebrating or just acknowledging those gifts, you cannot be afraid to share them. I don't care if you just graduated. If you just graduated, you might have more updated tools than the next person. That passion can take you very far. And the education that you got, whether you've had it for 5 years or 20 years, is just as important. And it does not depreciate in value. Cars depreciate in value. Our knowledge and information and education does not. So we have to be able to really identify our expertise. Stop being afraid to call yourself an expert. You have expertise. You didn't log in today if you didn't have expertise, period. Because you are more than likely trying to articulate that and to demonstrate that to your audience. So you're here today because you're an expert. Congratulations. Now let people know. All right, next slide. I've ranted enough at you about that. But essentially, we talked about this. Like, this is our greatest challenge, right? Is bragging about our accomplishments and outlining our credentials. So remove the self-doubt. Okay, next slide. All right. I'm here to answer any questions you have, but I'm first providing my information. This following week or next week, I'll be providing coaching hours on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. They fill up pretty quickly. So if you are interested in one-on-one coaching session with me, you can hear more of that from Irma and Christina, but I'll provide the email and information so that you can reach out if you would like a free coaching hour or to talk more about how I can help you create solutions for your expertise and your business. All right, questions. Oh, next slide. All right, questions and answers.
We did have someone raise their hand. Monique and Brenda have their hand raised.
Absolutely. And Irma, you can unshare because I can just talk to people now. We don't have to stare at the presentation. All right. Who would we like to go with first, Christina? I'll let you moderate.
Okay, Monique, if you want to unmute yourself, please, and you can go ahead and ask your question, or you can put it in the chat, whichever you prefer.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Monique. I'm ready to answer your question.
I believe that's Mr. Cooper. That
Did you have a question, Mr. Cooper?
Yes, I do. I was
Oh,
wanting
okay.
to reach out to the contact information so I can get some one-on-one and moving my company forward. So that's something. How will you share that via the chat now or via email?
Well, Irma and Christina can speak to what they're offering. And if you need that last slide shown again to have my email or information, or I'm happy to put it in the chat.
Okay, great. I truly today enjoyed the presentation, so I am looking forward to some more. Ms. Irma Lopez,
yes.
you still
Hi,
being
Hugh. How
great.
are you? Good to see you. You're always so supportive and engaged in what we do. So we appreciate you being here.
Likewise, I need what you all has been doing for me for quite some time now, and I have been learning with some physical challenges that I had previously. I got both of my knees replaced, so now they're stronger, and I'm ready to move my company, Triple D Trucking, to the highest heights now.
We're happy
So,
you're
Miss,
recuperating, and that's what we're here to do. Miss Yolanda Barton alluded to us offering some one-on-one consultation services. Please either reach out to her, or I'll put my contact information in the chat as well. You could reach out to myself, to Christina, or directly with Yolanda. Please take advantage of this opportunity. This is not something that is commonly offered. So take advantage of the wealth of expertise and knowledge that Ms. Barton has shared with us today. I really loved everything that you said about, especially the examples you put about real estate and how identifying with your client and uh, relating to their problem. Oftentimes, like for example, in my experience with certification, people may be embarrassed to ask certain questions because they assume that this is something that is general knowledge or common sense. And we need to remove that fear and be open. But at the same time, as vendors and consultants, we need to be open and steer away from the usual acronyms and industry specific terms that may not be so common to those that we are working with. I think speaking to someone in much more easier terms allows for them to communicate to you their needs as well, for you to better understand and have that conversation. So that is something I really liked that you covered, Yolanda, because oftentimes we just take for granted that we're so immersed in what we're doing, we forget that it may be new to someone else, or
Yeah.
it may not be new, but they haven't been so involved as we are on a daily basis. So everything
Mhm.
that you said touched upon something that I experienced myself as a consumer. So I felt that everything that you covered was spot on and
And
of use and benefit to everyone on this call today.
thank you so much. I know we had a few other questions, some people waiting.
Yes, Brenda, I see your hand is raised. Feel free to unmute yourself, or you can put your question in the chat, whichever is easiest.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone. And thanks for having me. Miss Yolanda, I can't thank you enough. Excellent, excellent, great ideas and great feedback. As a takeaway, my company is B5 Management Group, leading towards a sustainable future. And I am the expert in engineers as it regards diversity, equity, inclusion. I'm going to claim that today. Thank you so much.
And I
So
believe you. I believe what you just said. I absolutely believe it.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So my question is, as a takeaway, what would you recommend? Because now I'm going to set up shop in a lot of various outfits as far as vendor meet the client kind of atmosphere. So from you, I get to define the dilemma as it regards a one-on-one initiative, but how might I be able to be an effective communicator when it regards meet and greet? I want to have my elevator pitch already set, go. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely do, because you have 30 seconds to hold someone's attention, and that's giving grace, right? So you definitely want to have something that connects with them. That's the trust. And I think, I don't know if you were at the last workshop. It might be worthwhile you visiting the website to hear that one, because that touched a lot on what you're asking as well. But I'm happy to still provide some context. You know, are you in Chicago?
Yes, I am in Chicago.
Okay. So if these are meet and greets, then your opportunity to just create some comfort and try to assess what people are going through is the number one. Because if you lead with the pitch, you're a salesperson. Now, if that's the audience that you're in and you are there to generate sales, lead with the pitch. But initially, when you're first meeting people, they're approaching you, or there's that opportunity to engage based on what they're facing, based on what challenges they are facing. And so you may not have to go through the long list of dilemmas, but you can let people know that you'd like to set up an opportunity for an assessment. Now, that assessment is golden because that's your opportunity to create the experience. Your goal is to create the experience, not just pitch. They need to know who they're going to be dealing with and what the tone is going to be like and what your voice is like or what your intentions are. So I would start with that when it's those meet and greet situations, and make sure that people are clear on why you're there. So I would focus more on every event. What is the intention? Why am I here? Is it to generate sales? Is it to just have introductions and network and set up assessments or consultations, depending upon what you're calling it? Now define that experience. What does a consultation with you feel like? How do you guide them through that process? Because if I'm a client of yours and you say, we should have a consultation, I'd like to provide you a consultation. I'm showing up to that Microsoft Teams meeting or that Zoom meeting expecting you to walk me through some process. So it can't just be like, hey, how's it going? And then it's silent. You want no awkward moments. You want no awkward pauses or silence. You want to be very clear in the fact that you are making the most use of their time and you're going to get to the bottom of what they're facing. And then that next opportunity is to communicate why you're the solution and that you truly understand the dilemmas they're facing. So I would still focus on the same methodology. I would just be intentional depending upon what audience and environment you're in and what you're really there to do. So when I hear meet and greet, I think your number one goal is to set up consultations and assessments so that you can find out what people are dealing with and then propose to them why you're the solution.
Yeah, so sorry to interrupt here. So I did do a SWOT because it's a
Oh, good.
general audience. You know, you have like 10 GCs in the audience. So I went and did my homework and found what their SWOT is for each one. So I just want to have my pitch ready to just hone in on those weaknesses or demands or obstacles that could be in the way or hindrance. So
Okay,
thank you so
so
much.
is it a number of people that you're going to be speaking in front of?
Yes, it's going to be 10 in terms of me meeting 10 general contractors. So I did the background analysis assessment for each one and each kind, and just
Good.
understanding what are their problems, challenges, obstacles, and roadblocks and risks.
Great.
So I just wanted to know as an elevator pitch, and thank you so much for sharing that information.
Sure, I would love to provide you with a strategy for that. I love speaking and I love coaching people on speaking. So if you reach out to me, I will help you like draft. Tell me how long you have, and we can draft a powerful, like really profound opportunity to speak and get to the heart of what they're there for so that you are memorable and they are all reaching out. Okay, any other questions?
I don't see any in the chat, but I do want to just make mention that Irma and myself put a couple of links in the chat for you all. The intake form that we spoke about so that you can stay connected with us and in our database and know when Yolanda is doing her next workshop, which will be coming up soon. So make sure you all fill that out again so that you can continue to receive correspondence. And then Berlin, you asked about where you can find recordings and just information. I put the landing page for our program in the chat as well. So does anybody else have any
Thank you.
questions? You're welcome. You're welcome.
Or even comments. I'm open to
Comments,
hearing your
yeah.
comments or what you got out of the presentation or that information as well. So you don't necessarily have to have a question, but if there's something that stood out to you today or something that some takeaway that you felt was really beneficial, we're open to hearing that as well.
You can
Got a
unmute
hand?
Yes,
yourself,
hi.
Arlene.
Hello, I unmuted myself. Is it okay if I speak first or should I wait?
No, certainly. Go ahead, Oscar.
Hi, I'm sorry if I'm interrupting. Well, I just wanted to say, thank you for having this meeting. It was very great, very good information. One of my favorite parts was believing that we are the expert in whatever it is that we're doing. That is something that I myself struggle with a little bit, especially one of my dilemmas that I have is I look very young. I'm 30, but a lot of people think I'm straight out of high school. So one thing that I struggle with is having them believe in what I am saying because they see me as so young and they kind of like doubt what I have to share with them. I am in the architectural field. I help with rehabs and homes and providing permits in Chicago. So it is pretty difficult for them to take my word, and I do struggle with that. So I would like to make an appointment with you to hopefully get some coaching on how to better present myself and for them not to see me as this kid who is straight out of high school. They literally think I'm 19 or 20. And yeah, I just want them to know that I am an expert. Just like you said, I am an expert. I know what I'm doing and I can provide the service and be the bridge that they need.
And Oscar, I suffer from the same problem. I look so much younger than I really am.
I believe it.
I'm just kidding. But yes, I look forward to talking more because what we need them to focus on is the solutions you provide and not what your age is. And there's an opportunity to do that.
Okay, great. Yes, so I will be making an appointment with you. Hopefully, I can get some coaching, and in just my business as well. I'm very new to running my own business. I just left my full time to hopefully pursue this architecture dream that I have, and yeah, looking forward to speaking with you.
Absolutely. Exciting. This is a great opportunity for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
hmm I think Verlene had a question.
Yes.
Yes, I do have a question. So, I'm a social worker and I have a boutique because I got tired of saying small private practice. So, I have a boutique style private practice. And then I just venture out into the coaching world. And so, it is a whole different train of thought because in therapy, they come to you, and in coaching, you're actually coming to them in so many different ways. And so, a lot of questions people ask me, like, oh, how long you been in coaching? Well, 3 months, but I've been a social worker for 18 years. And so it looks different. And there's a difference. I can coach a person, right? Um, I can counsel a person and do coaching. I can't do coaching and counseling. It's separate,
hmm
right?
hmm
So when I'm thinking about there was I forgot which slide it was, but it was basically saying like, why you?
Why you?
It's 1,001 coaches. Why me? And
Why?
so I have this whole little spiel on why it's me, but it really took some time to do the thought work and to stand behind what I thought. So now I guess my thing is I still don't have that solid pitch, like,
hmm
or like, hey, I know when I speak to people and we're having a general conversation, I can just talk to them. I have a I help statement, but I just need something a little bit different. So anyway, I made a request for the one-on-one coaching. I really
Good, because
enjoyed
you have
this.
an Oh, thank you. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead and finish.
No, I'm done.
Well, I was going to say you have a really great opportunity right now. And I know it can be daunting and it can feel extremely overwhelming, but we need to be able to pull out of your past experiences what aligned you and transformed you into doing this work and why you're doing it. Because your passion will go further if you can really point to the experience that you really do have beyond 3 months. So I look forward to working with you.
Oh, thank you.
Focus on your superpowers. They don't always come with just one position. A lot of us have had positions, 20 years ago. I did corporate for 16 years as an executive assistant to global chairman and C-suite level executives. Don't think for 1 minute that the expertise that I developed in solving crisis and huge global solutions for the people I worked for didn't prepare me to do the work that I'm doing now. I've been solving problems for a long time. Do you see what I'm saying, Verlene? So we can pull from
Yes.
that history and acknowledge what strengths in that history are really speaking to the work that you're doing now.
Thanks again.
You're welcome. Any other sentiments people want to share? I know we have a little bit of time left. Otherwise, I hope that you guys truly enjoy your Friday and your weekend, and that you absolutely feel like you got something out of it today, so that you are more excited to continue to do the entrepreneur work that you are doing today. And I wish you all the best.
Yolanda,
Oh,
I had one question or statement.
Sure.
Hey, this is Pam,
Hi,
and
Pamela.
hey, and I wanted to know, how do I set up the one-on-one with you or anyone else? My business is a little unique in that it's trucking, and in which I am just starting in this field. It's a new career change for me. Actually, I'm from that area. I worked downtown at the Illinois CPA Society for 100
Okay.
years. Now I'm in Atlanta, and and so you can see it's totally a different field from that.
Yeah,
So
it
uh,
is.
yeah, so I would like to set up a one-on-one and talk with you a little more about solving problems.
Mm-hmm.
And how do I do that?
So we provided the email in the chat. I'll put it in one more time so people don't have to search for it.
Was that the one that was directly to you? I have it.
Yes. So I provided an
Okay.
email. Go ahead and reach out, and I will start scheduling people so that we can fill up these blocks of time. Do it sooner than later because they tend to fill up pretty quickly.
This was inclusionarchitect@gmail.com.
Yes, it is.
All right, got you. Thank
And in
you.
the slide, the last slide that was shared, and I'm sure Christine and Irma will share that as well. My website's there, so you're welcome to go look at why I'm the expert at what I do and the solutions and challenges that I solve. So feel free to critique my website as well.
We'll send out the deck to you all following this call. Um, just to close out, we did have one final comment from Jamila, and she said, I don't think you, excuse me, you specifically called it imposter syndrome, but
But
it
yeah.
feels like you gave great perspective on battling that when you talked about celebrating, appreciating our gifts. So this was
We
phenomenal.
all, yeah, I appreciate that, Jamila. That is exactly what I was referencing. And we're all faced with it at different times, and we question our ability to belong at a table that was invented for us. So it's a shift in thinking that can help us establish that and help us push our businesses forward. So I'm really glad to hear your comment, Jamila. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Yolanda put her email in the chat. Make sure you all take advantage of the coaching opportunity that we have with Yolanda, and she will be back again. This is a series of workshops on really getting that brand audit together and being able to communicate. She's the communicator. So if we don't have any other questions or comments, then we will go ahead and close out, and we'll look forward to seeing you all at the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christine and Irma, can I stay on with you guys for 2 minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
Irma jumped off, but I'm here.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great
Bye.
weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, Christina, I'll just call you. I'll give you a call, Christina.
Okay,
Okay.
bye.